Ravens on a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 game winning streak. So much to talk about here on the Purple Rain podcast. Episode 254 of the Purple Rain podcast. A lot of names here. The Christian Welch, Tyus Bowser, Chandler Martin, Prescott Burgess, but our defensive coordinator, Zach Orr, episode of the Purple Rain podcast on defense. We'll talk about it today. Another game allowing under 20 points. So always something good to talk about there. But another victory weekend. I see some of the guys in the chat, but first off, you can follow us on Instagram at the Purple Rain Podcast. Right here, Mr. Sutton Def on Instagram or on X at Sutton Def. Me, Instagram simply as10.prod, X simply as10. And like I always say, X is the place to be following us for live updates, for our real-time reaction, real-time rants, real-time celebrations for all things Baltimore Ravens. I see members of Films coach in the chat here. 5 in a row, baby. Yes, indeed. K-Dog, yo, Rain Gang. What's good on the sloppy at Victory Monday? Yes, ugly wins are wins. You will take them in the league. We'll talk more about that. Ashley here saying what's going on. What is going on, Ashley? But I'll tell you this. It is a short week for us. Have the Bengals on Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving week to those who celebrate. And I'm looking forward to it. Sutton, how are you feeling, though? 5 straight wins. First in the AFC North.
Talk about it.
I'm happy. I mean, wins are wins. Not pretty, but I'd rather win ugly now and maybe win pretty in the playoffs. I saw some people talking about that, but wins are wins, all right.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely right about that. Wins are wins, but I'm gonna get into it a little bit more in this episode of the show. But spoiler alert. Me, Sutton Def, I'm gonna claim this one. I'm not speaking for Alex here, but I've kind of realized something. I am that spoiled Ravens fan that Kyle Hamilton was talking about, because I got some feelings about this team, despite them playing well, allegedly, relative to how they were playing in the first leg of the season. They're playing well right now, but despite that, there's still a whole lot of issues that need to be addressed. And it's honestly not just the offensive line. If I'm being completely honest with, I was looking at some of the all 22 film earlier today, and I was thinking to myself, like, man, there's issues across the board. Now, not huge issues, but there are some. So I want to get into that, of course, on this episode, and then also in the film study video that I'm going to put out. It's going to be separate from this live stream here. I won't have time to do both on this live, but that'll be coming out later. But I'm feeling good. Over 500 for the first time since last year. You can only complain but so much about that, right? But at the same time, man, for what I'm seeing from this offense, mainly, I mean, the defense, like you said, what, 5th straight game allowing under 20 points? I think they're, since moving Kyle Hamilton around, they're allowing maybe only 13.5 points per game, something crazy like that, somewhere in that ballpark. So hats off to the defense, but the offense, man, it just looks very, very, how do I say, claustrophobic, right? I feel like the ceiling is not very high at all with this offense, and if that remains true, then I feel like the ceiling for this season, I'm sorry, will be capped as well. So I feel good, Alex, but at the same time, there is still a lot to be worked on this team. Before we get into anything else, big shout out to the Rain Gang. Shout out to the hashtag Replay Gang as well. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Make sure you leave a hashtag Replay Gang in the comment section. We'll get to your comments, your questions, your concerns, whatever you got for us. I see Kwame in the chat. What's going on, Kwame? Appreciate you for coming through. Lisa Ann in the chat as well says, hey, Alex and Sutton Def 5 in a row is rather sweet. Yes, it is, Lisa. Indeed. I see my guy D-Wiz in the chat. What's going on, D-Wiz? Another one of our members here at PRP. Always giving a shout out to him. Let me see. Lisa Ann says, this month isn't great for me because I lost my dog Angel. However, I have her purple harness. Wow. Remember. Yeah, definitely something to always remember. And condolences to you, for that. Definitely in our spirits. Okay, so let me see. We also have Brian DeRosa in the chat. That's your guy,
What up?
right?
What up?
Yeah, yeah. Kwame, what's going on? So, guys, let's get to this. Let's get to this breakdown, right? So the Ravens are finally first in the damn division. It took long enough. The fact that we're in week 12 and we're one game over 500, this season is going in a way that nobody could have expected. You know, not Ravens fans, not national media, not local media. Nobody really saw this coming, you know, which kind of goes to show being a Ravens fan is just an absolute emotional roller coaster. But yesterday, the Ravens got their fifth straight W and took the first place position in the AFC North. So let's go ahead and get into the review of that game against the Jets. It was a what was the final score, Alex? 23-10. The Ravens took it away, just barely missing the spread, right? Did
Mm-hmm.
you notice that, Alex? Because the
Yeah.
spread was 13 and a half. Like, what did you think about that?
Uh, I mean, I predicted us to score more and beat the spread, but if you look at the way the Ravens offense was playing, I think if you're smart, you probably took the Jets plus 13 and a half. I mean, they had nothing to really lose. Tyrod is kind of going in there with, everything to gain. So when you look at that spread, I
Yeah.
think it's smart to take them. Even the Giants game, the Giants Lions, not to, go off completely different thing. That was 13 and a half too. And the Giants covered that. That game was close. So those large spreads in the NFL, they're very tricky. But we probably should have covered it, but we kick field goals instead of touchdowns this year. I guess that's the mantra. But right there, you can see our chances of winning. They were always on our favor. I think even when we went down, wasn't worried. We were, I think, to me, always think we were going to win. And what I saw was pretty interesting. They graded the quarterbacks like the top ones of the week, and although Lamar didn't have his best game, I'd say probably one of his bang average games, he still ranked ninth, I believe, in efficiency for quarterback. So his bad, awful games is still top 10 of the week, which is kind of crazy to think about, knowing how he's playing, knowing that he's banged up. And to me, real quick, it's nice to know that we can win without him being Superman. It's nice to see that.
Yeah, but see, here's my thing, Alex. How sustainable is us winning without him being Superman? Like, I just don't see against a team that can actually punch back, unlike the Jets, unlike the Browns, unlike the Dolphins, the Vikings, a team that can actually punch back. So when you get into the playoffs, or you're going to get a preview of it, the Patriots, right? They're flying high. They got an MVP candidate in Drake May, who they're going to be able to punch you back in the mouth, right? If you come down and score a Derrick Henry touchdown, they can push the ball down the field and put you right back even again. So it's just like, how long is it going to last? I mean, the offense has to pick up at some point. And to your point, I mean, Lamar clearly looks labored, right? Clearly looks labored. You know, I mean, he popped up on the I Word report today with a toe, and now so that's the fourth ailment that Lamar Jackson is dealing with. But man, I mean, 23 points. I mean, and this is where that whole spoiled Ravens fan thing starts to kind of come out of me, because as much as I love winning, right? As much as I love the Ravens taking home a W, I did not have fun watching that game yesterday. I did not have a whole lot of fun at all. And had it not been, and I'm going to say this with my whole chest, had it not been for two defensive pass interference calls that kind of sprung the Ravens ahead on drives that looked like they were stalling out, had it not been for those two calls, both of those drives ended in touchdowns. The Ravens might have been in even more of a dogfight with the New York Jets. So I'm just not satisfied, man, to be honest.
Well, I'll tell you this from the Patriots. We're going to beat them in December. I'm going to stamp that now. Their downfall is about to come. They just lost their left tackle and left guard. You can see, we know what it's like to lose, your starting lineman. It's not going to be good. So that's for next month. But for the Ravens, I mean, we drew them because I guess our guys, they beat them. Zay beat his man, like crazy, and Andrews beat his man. So it's not like they were, ticky tacky. They were clear PIs. I mean, that's how the game goes. And it wasn't the most fun watch, but right now I'm not expecting to be winning like that. We're not going to be like a team every year that can blow out the best teams in the league, and that was us last year and year before. You can't do that every year. I look at the Chiefs right now. I think were their fans expecting to be 6-5 right now, and to lose to the teams they lost to? No, but if you can find a way and get together the right time, that's kind of all I'm looking forward to. But I'm going to take a win as a win. Obviously, we'll talk about the struggles, and well, yeah, we'll talk about them. But I'm not going to focus too much because I think we have a big game Thursday. I want to say we held back. I think we never got out of first or second gear. I think they were looking forward to Thursday. I'll be completely honest with you.
which is, I mean, I get that. Now that you mention it, 2 games, 5 days, prime time on Thanksgiving Day, that is a little bit rough, right? It's starting to get cold outside too. I get that. However, from what I watched on film earlier today, it's really just a lot of lack of execution that's happening pretty much all around. And that's what really concerns me the most because against, again, like I said, Alex, against teams who are actually going to be able to, put you in a position of a shootout, like D-Wiz says here in the chat, you have to be on point with your execution. And it really starts with the offensive line. That's one big thing. I'm sure we'll probably get into that in a little bit here too. But I do want to go over some stats here, Alex, and kind of let me know what stands out to you from what
Mhm.
happened in yesterday's game. So, with the Ravens, of course, Lamar Jackson, 13 for 23. Like you said, kind of like a bang average day for him, right? 153 yards passing. Again, no touchdowns. That's the second consecutive game of no Lamar Jackson touchdowns. That's actually the first time that this has happened in his career. 56.5% completion percentage, a 76.9 rating at 6.7 yards per attempt. Uh, Overall, what you saw from Lamar Jackson, I mean, do you think that I mean, what are your thoughts on Lamar right now? Because a lot of people are saying he's not playing well, right? And how does he look down the stretch of the season? Because I don't think he's going to get any healthier, right? If he has to continue running on these legs, like what are your predictions for Lamar?
Hmm. That's a good point.
Because you sprinkled MVP money on him just a
Oh
couple
yeah,
weeks ago.
it's the cash out's like $2. Like I'm not hitting that. I'm just looking forward to my Mecca Egbuka offensive rookie of the year, which is looking all right now. And Brian, I'll get into your super chat right now, real quick. But with Lamar, he's not going to get healthier, but I think changes are coming. I want to say on the line. And yesterday, I think I really saw the problem on this line. And as much as Filele is like a big red flag, Voorhees is twice, if not three times, bigger of a red flag. And I think the coaching staff is realizing that. Emory Jones was active yesterday. He was in the lineups as a backup, as a left guard. I think that's where the change will be made. If there is a change to be made, I think it'll be left guard, not right guard. And I saw a couple of plays yesterday where Voorhees had nothing to do, nobody to block, and he was just standing there. Like he wasn't even finding work to do, which you're supposed to do. Help out a teammate out. Didn't happen. Now to Lamar, there's a lot of miscommunication. I think him and Andrews missed one. I think that D Hop pass slightly overthrown, but I think D Hop can
Yeah.
maybe. I think D Hop's age right there was shown. I think he gets that a couple years ago with some more
But
speed.
Alex, really quick, didn't that same exact sort of thing happen? I think it was like Deshaun Jackson, maybe a couple of years ago, where Lamar throws a deep ball to him, and like it looks like it's within reach, but like he just kind of like gives up on it. Like I think with the
Age.
older guys, yeah, exactly. With the older guys, the vets, like if it's not right on him, like because that ball landed in bounds, like he definitely could have got it, but it was just a teensy bit overthrown. But I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Now you're good. I just trust him to get better. And as for the run with the legs, uh, he might not practice this week. If he does, it's very limited. But he'll be out there on Thursday. And you have a mini bye week. Then you play the Steelers. So like you said, it's not going to get any easier. But I did a little bit of looking. I think if we win these next 3 games, we win the division. And it's not going to win it outright, but you have the lead in the division. Like you'll be what 5-0 in the division. You'll hold the tiebreaker against the Steelers. The Week 18 game will mean nothing. So if you can get through these next 3 games and just scratch and claw and win them, you know what your rest of the season is like. So it could maybe heal Lamar up if we make the playoffs, but we'll see. But right now, I mean, he's banged
That's a
up, but
good
we're winning
point.
games.
That's a good point, Alex, because like, and actually, before I get into that, go ahead and address Brian here.
Yeah, Brian Arteta has saved my life, and I would like to see him, just consulting with Harbaugh. He's consulting with McVay right now, the best team in the league, the Rams, that is. What he does, Arteta, is he takes no prisoners. If you're not playing well, bro, you're getting on the bench. And I would love for Harbaugh to see that, but he's just too friendly with these guys. He's not cutthroat enough, like Arteta is. If make one mistake, you're holding bench next game, and that's why I love, and that's why we're top of the table by 6 points. That's my soccer talk for the day. Back to football.
So I guess Arsenal's kicking ass this year, huh?
Right now, looking good, but it's a long season. I'm not going to get ahead. We've finished second the past 3 years, choked the title twice. So one game at
Yeah.
a time, just like football.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I mean, you talk about the Ravens' playoff chances if they just win their next 3 games, right? So you're talking Bengals, Steelers, Bengals. I mean, Patriots and Packers aside, right? If you win those 3, then you have a really really good chance at making the playoffs. And if Ravens do have the division locked up by the time, I don't know, week 17 or 18 rolls around, potentially you could see Lamar Jackson rest, because again, it's not like we're necessarily contending for first seed or anything like that. We're just happy to be part of the party. You know what I mean? At that point. So that's a good point. That's a very relevant point. Maybe Lamar Jackson can at some point get a little bit of rest, because these back-to-back games, while meanwhile he's just racking up the I words, right? I mean, again,
Yeah.
I actually want to bring this up. I actually want to bring this up on screen from Jeff Zarebek had tweeted about this earlier.
Okay. And while you do that,
About
real quick,
Yeah, go
real
ahead, go
quick,
ahead.
real
Yeah.
quick. The Steelers' schedule is the Bills, Ravens, Dolphins, Lions, Browns, Ravens. If the
Yeah.
Ravens were to win, let's say the Steelers lose against the Bengals, we have now, and we win. That's a full game lead. You beat them the week after, that's a 2 game lead, and then you already have the division tied up. I don't see them beating the Lions, so I think you could, like, there's a real chance if you win the next 3 games, you can have week 17 and 18. You have the division won. That's
Yeah.
if you can just win these next, I truly believe division will be wrapped up, and that's Lamar 2 weeks. Get right. I'm not mad at him playing a half or two, but just food for thought. Food for thought.
Yeah, I mean, it'll definitely be necessary. That's for sure. And again, just kind of bringing that up on screen right here, what you had just talked about, Alex. The Ravens are atop the AFC North with a 6-5 record. The Ravens, again, man, the Ravens got the soft part of their schedule at the perfect time, man. I can only imagine if the Ravens had some absolute killers right in the mix of that. It could have really just really derailed the season even more than it already was. That's for sure. But let me see here. Bengals, Patriots, Packers, Steelers. And then, like you said, for the Steelers, they've got the Bills this week alone, right? So that's going to be a tough one for them. They also have the Lions still on the docket. So yeah, the Steelers have a rough go of it, and the Steelers fans that I know, they are not very happy right now. They're not very happy at all with how this season has went, because just a couple of weeks ago the Steelers were 1-4, or I mean the Ravens were 1-5, and the Steelers are 4-1 or something crazy like that. So
Yeah.
been a complete 180 on the season for the AFC North. But what I wanted to bring up here was this about Lamar Jackson and all the ailments that he's dealing with in his this year. So as you guys can see, Lamar Jackson's injury listings this year, in weeks 5 through 9, he was dealing with a hamstring, which of course held him out for about a month. Week 11, he was dealing with a knee. Week 12, last week, he was dealing with an ankle. And now today we find out that he's dealing with a toe here in week 13, getting ready to play the Bengals. So it's just like, I don't know if this is all in the same leg, Alex, but like his leg seems shot. You know what I mean? And you can kind of tell by how he's running, no?
I mean, if we're going to go even further, the foot he got stepped on in training camp. I'm going to throw that one on there because he came into the
Ooh.
season not 100%. So I'm going foot, hamstring, knee, ankle, toe. It's like the guy from SpongeBob. He's broken every bone in his body. Like, that's Lamar right now. But he's going out there every Sunday, busting his ass, and we're winning the games. So it's I don't know how he's doing it, but it's obviously impacting him in the run game, and I don't blame him. That's why I think we took the under on his yards. It's like we knew he wasn't going to run,
Oh yeah.
and if
Yeah.
he did, he didn't have the same burst, but it's not helping this line out because usually he's back there. If the guy misses his block, he'll bail him out. It's not like that this year. It's not.
Not
He
at
he
all.
can't be Houdini back there because of what he's ailing, and that's definitely showing with the sacks and with the pressures.
Yeah. And let me see here. Somebody had brought up Derrick Henry. I think it was my guy Kwame in the chat. What's going on, Kwame? Appreciate you. Says we still have a Hall of Fame running back. Let's steal some runs out of Giro's playbook and replace a guard or two. Now, I mean, you brought up Emory Jones a little bit earlier. I mean, I totally agree. I would want to see him on the field sooner rather than later. Give him some time to kind of gel in that unit. I think that I fully do believe that they would probably replace left guard Andrew Voorhees before they would replace Daniel Faalele. So I agree with you there. But let's look at Derrick Henry's stats from yesterday.
Mm,
So in yesterday's game, Derrick Henry had 21 carries for 64 yards, 2 touchdowns, of course, averaging only 3 yards per carry, and had a long run of 17 yards. So when you look at those numbers and then you see what Kwame is saying here, I mean, 21 carries is 21 carries, but only 3 yards per. It's like
yeah.
maybe replacing a guard would up that, maybe. But a lot of what I saw, Alex, maybe not a lot, but maybe just some of what I saw when I watched over the film, Henry's not really trusting a lot of these gaps. I don't think he's really trusting his eyes. I think he's hesitating a little bit too much. Certain times he's not taking the right hold. There was one play, Alex, where the Ravens were in the red zone, and the Ravens want to emphasize running the football in the red zone. I'm going to bring this play up actually in the film study later too. Um, but basically, what had happened was Andrews had a block and there was an open hole for Henry to run through, and Henry completely takes the other side. He takes a totally different hole, and Mark Andrews is just like kind of waving his hands like, "Yo, what the fuck? Like you had a hole right here, but you chose the wrong direction," and he gets tackled for only maybe like a 1 yard gain. So it's just like certain things like that I see when I watch some of the film that I'm like, okay, maybe Derrick Henry is losing a little bit of a step, or maybe he's just completely distrusting this offensive line. Either way, it's not really a good look. It does seem like he's taken a little bit of a step back. Hell, him and Saquon Barkley. There's been huge regression from both of those running backs. Henry doesn't have the fumbleitis like he had early in the year anymore, but I I just don't know if it's just as simple as Derrick Henry running the football. I want to see more Keaton Mitchell.
Yeah. I mean, what we saw week one from Derrick Henry was him last year. I don't want to say, obviously he's going to lose a little bit of a step. You can't beat, Father Time, but
Yeah.
I think it's more of just not trusting the line. I'll be completely honest. I saw his interview after the game, and he kind of talked about all 11 guys, had to be stepping up. And I feel like he was talking more to the line than anybody else. There's
Mm,
no way that Patrick McCarry was the glue to this line. With all due respect, he wasn't a Marshall Yanda. So what happened? And
yeah.
like you said, I would love to see that play where he's just not trusting the line, because that hole was there last year and he
Yeah.
hit it. So yeah, to me, it's really, he's not trusting the line. I think that's just the real answer for me.
There's that, and then there's also what I'm seeing when I watch this film too, and I'm gonna go over this in the film study, is that defenses key in so heavily when Derrick Henry is on the field, right? So for one thing, for me, in the red zone, or let's just say this, not even within the 20, if you're within the 10-yard line, right? So if you have first and goal, you have to have Patrick Ricard on the field. Like at all times. If you want to run Derrick Henry, do not run him without Patrick Ricard, because it's quite simply not going to work. And the Ravens did that on 3 down straight. Tried to run plays without Patrick Ricard inside the 5, I want to say. And each play ended up being a dud. One of those plays ended up being the Mark Andrews drop in the back of the end zone,
Ooh,
which we'll talk about that too. There's a reason why that happened, by the way, a big reason. But yeah, and then as soon as they bring in Patrick Ricard on fourth and 2 or whatever it was from the 3, they score on that play, and Henry goes in untouched. So I also feel like it's a little bit of an indictment on Todd Monken. And again, like I led the episode with, guys, it's not just the offensive line here. There's a couple of different things that need to be kind of like adjusted and looked at and talked about if the Ravens want to be serious contenders. Because I mean, not having Ricard, who's probably your best blocker, right, on the field within 5 yards, and you're going to hand it to Derrick Henry behind a struggling offensive line, that's certainly a choice. It's certainly a choice. So there's just little things that I see too. I mean, and again, defenses key in on Derrick Henry when he's on the field. I mean, there's always 8 guys in the box when Henry's on the field, and they know he's going to run on first or second down. So get Keaton Mitchell out there, right? Keaton Mitchell, at the very least, like, makes the defense have to hesitate, makes the linebackers have to sit on their heels for an extra half a second instead of just
mm-hmm.
rushing the line of scrimmage, right, to try to tackle Derrick Henry. And by that time, Keaton Mitchell's run right by them, and he is picking the right holes. So Maybe that's the fix for the offense. I don't know, but there's a couple things that need to be fixed for sure.
Yeah, and I wonder what happened last year. I think we were playing, I want to say the Texans, like that stretch after the bye week when we kind of just we were a whole different team. I think last year after the bye, I think we can all agree on that. Defense stepped it up. Offense was just scoring at will. But we brought in at the in the red zone an extra lineman. Where has that gone this year? Why aren't we doing that anymore? We are running a six lineman, the heavy package. I'm just confused about that. Um, but I do want to bring up one more thing with offense though. Tez Walker. Listen, this
Mm,
isn't your normal. This isn't your, with all due respect, this isn't your James Prochet, your Devin Duvernay's. This guy is producing whenever the ball is thrown his way.
mm-hmm.
There's small things I get. You know, he stumbled on that route where he caught it. I watched it, but he's showing you if you put the ball, give him a chance, he's gonna make a play. Each catch this year is it's either a touchdown or a big play. He's earned himself more targets. I'm not, saying 4 or 5 a game, but put him out there. You know, he hasn't given you any reason to not play him. So,
Yeah. He really
I,
cooked Brandon Stevens on that route too.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was it was it was bad. He had him all turned around, man. He broke off his
it's
route at the perfect moment, right? And then had to come back to the ball, and it was a sliding catch, man. Just
yeah,
impressive as hell. I mean, what, like a third of his catches this year have been touchdowns. We already know that. He just needs more opportunities. I don't understand for the life of me. Maybe it's because he's not a special teams prodigy or whatever.
yeah.
But this guy, he needs an opportunity to shine on this team. Because I remember, you remember the preseason game, albeit
Mm-hmm.
preseason. I
Mm-hmm.
think it was against Dallas, I want to say.
Mm-hmm.
And he was catching everything. Cooper Rush was just repeatedly going back to him and going back to him and going like, and he was coming down with it. You know, he looked like a true wide receiver one, dare I
Yep.
say. So he's going to be one of those guys who probably won't be a Raven in a couple of years if they continue to utilize him in the way that they do. And he's probably going to go somewhere else, and he's probably going to look pretty damn good, which is going to be a shame. But yeah, I totally agree with you. I want to see more from Tez Walker.
Yeah, I think if you had him, Zay, and Bate all on the field at the same time, and maybe a D Hop, I mean, I'm not mad at that. Granted, it's the protection I'm worried about, but I think each of those guys brings a different skill set that we can really utilize. I would love to see Tez Walker 1-on-1 with some of these DBs because I'm trusting him. I think he's shown it. He's going to get open. I'm not saying he's going to win the 50-50 ball, but I think he's going to get open and make a nice catch on the sideline, which we've seen him do many times before now. So that one catch, it was nice to have that big play, but I'm just like, he's produced. What more does he have to do? And that's kind of where my question mark is at right now.
Let
What
me
more
ask you a
does Tez?
question,
Yeah,
Alex. How long do the Ravens have D Hop under contract? It's just a 1 year, right?
correct.
Yeah. So here's my thing. You know how the philosophy for the Ravens has been for the past couple of years. We're gonna go out and we're gonna get the most vet wide receivers, right? And just kind of stick them on the roster. D Hop, Des Bryant, Deshaun Jackson, Odell Beckham Jr. The list goes on and on, right? How about we move on from that now? How about we just say, hey, look, Tez Walker, we're gonna get the most we can out of you in this rookie deal that we have you under for now, right? And we're not gonna spend extra capital this year on a old washed up wide receiver that we're not going to utilize anyway. And we're gonna put some of that stock, put some of that money into the offensive line, right? And going and getting maybe a guard that we can utilize for the next 1 to 2 years, something like that, a solid, proven NFL guard, right? To kind of shore up this offensive line because I just think that the priorities need to be rearranged a little bit, just a bit from
Yes.
EDC when it comes to this offseason. You agree?
Now, real quick, yeah, I do like D Hop. I think this is gonna sound messed up. I think EDC got lucky because with Bateman going down, D Hop was a very good replacement to have in his position.
Yeah.
I don't think he would have the production he's had so far if Bateman was healthy. That's we can talk about that a whole different day. But I would rather have a D Hop guy than a Des Bryant, than a Deshaun Jackson, Sammy Watkins. I want a guy, D Hop showed something the past couple years. Those other guys, they didn't. They were either out in the league or, a receiver 3 or 4, and we have him, as a receiver 1 or 2. D Hop as a 3, I was
Yeah.
perfectly fine with that. But I do agree, after this year, I think, unless they can really come in and make an impact, why? Why are you wasting that money? But Tez, I think, maybe Tylen Wallace's targets, I think he's earned. He's getting 1 or 2 a game. I think Tez deserves those. Unfortunately, I love Tylen, but if we're talking about producing right now offensively, I'm trusting Tez. I think he brings a different skill set to what we have than the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree there, and I want to see more of him on the field. Just doesn't really look like the Ravens coaching staff feels the same way. So, but we'll see. We'll see what they do as the season wears on. Um, Alex, you want to talk about the defense a little bit in this
And you
one?
know what? I'm glad you brought this up because we're talking about vet guys and young guys,
Hmm.
snaps. Carl Lawson can take Ojabo snaps. I think you have to
Mm,
cut your losses and just admit it wasn't the right pick. You know, it may
yeah,
have been at the time, but I don't. It hasn't worked out. I saw him yesterday. You know, I think he was chasing down Tyrod. It didn't work. Carl Lawson was supposed to be up. You know, however long ago, still isn't up. That just wasn't looking good. But otherwise, defensively, Marlon Humphrey with the fruit punch, the fruit strip punch, that was great to see.
timely.
Timely turnover. I didn't even know he fumbled until they mentioned it because there was a big just scrum and the ball comes out, which was great to see. Dre Jones, I thought, great game. Didn't show up on the stat sheet for Mike Green, getting to the quarterback. Great to see. Just if we get more sacks, I'd be very happy. But holding to what, 10 points?
Yeah,
I think since Hamilton's been in the box, starting with that Rams game, held every team under 20 points. Held the Rams to 17 points. Missing guys. That's good. Uh, Martavis here says Tavius is coming back soon. Yep, he'll be back soon, which is great. Ardarius, I'm not sure what his role in this defense will be, but I'm not mad. But I want to give a shout out to TJ Tampa with his first career INT. I think unfortunately next year he'll have a bigger role, but it's good to see him get that first interception, monkey off the back defensively. It was a good game. A lot of bend and don't break him, but the real test is
yeah,
this week, I think, against the Bengals. We'll get more into that, but if you can hold these
for
guys
sure.
under 20 points, then I'll really feel good about hyping you up.
For sure. Let me go through the total defensive pressures from our defense yesterday, and this is courtesy of Coach Ivan Evans, Sip to Tally Film. Shout out to him. Always a pleasure going live with him on Tuesdays. Make sure you guys tune into the Ravens Roundup on Tuesdays. I'll be on there, but this is from him. Total defensive pressures yesterday. Mike Green led all defenders with 5 pressures. Following him was, like you said, Dre Jones, who had a good game as well with 4 pressures. Kyle Van Noy had 3. Trenton Simpson with 2. And then David Ojabo, Roquan Smith, Taven Bryan, Alohi Gilman, and John Jenkins all had 1. Like you said, with Ojabo, I do agree. Carl Lawson should definitely get those snaps, and we should just see what we have in him because what other reason did we bring him on board? But I'm very, very excited for Mike Green and Dre Jones and just kind of like that duo right there. Mike Green is excited about it as well. He actually tweeted earlier today. He was like, "Name this duo," and it was a picture of him and Dre Jones. So I love what they're kind of building there. And Mike Green, man, he's one of those guys who I tweeted this earlier. I think if you give him a full off season, right, to kind of transition from having kind of like that the frame that you have in college to like your NFL like grown man frame, and you pair that with the skill that he already has, he's going to be a dangerous pass rusher in this league. Now, I mean, this is just my speculation, just me kind of predicting these things. Of course, we got to see it actually come to fruition. But from what we've seen so far, he's not just your run of the mill, Ravens edge who they've drafted who doesn't really pop out, on tape, right? He pops out on tape. Again, 5 pressures yesterday. It hasn't really showed up in the stat sheet in terms of the sacks just yet, but those are coming, right? His cross chop is crazy. His bull rush is really nice as well, but that's another thing where I feel like if he puts on an extra maybe 10, 15 pounds of muscle, right? He can really put some of these tackles into the literal lap of the quarterback. And he's almost done that a couple of times. So he's got to develop a little bit more power, but really like what I've been seeing from Mike Green. Kai Runson in here giving him the nickname Mike Jones. I like that. I like that. But yeah, defense for me gets an A yesterday. I mean, again, with the turnovers that are being forced, Marlon Humphrey, again, huge, timely turnover because they were starting to wear on us a little bit, right? They were going to make it pretty ugly if Marlon Humphrey did not turn that football over. And then if the offense looked how it looked, there was those 2 defensive pass interferences. I know you said that they were both DPIs, but I don't know. I want to be more efficient. I want to be more efficient than that. So it's just kind of trying to fire on all syllables here is where the Ravens are still trying to kind of get it together. But what else did we have from the defense? Kyle Hamilton in this one got banged up a little bit more,
Mm.
was all over the place. I mentioned this last week. I don't know how sustainable using Kyle Hamilton in the way that we're using him will be. But what are your thoughts on Mr. Hamilton?
Yeah, I put a tweet out. It's your regularly scheduled Kyle Hamilton I word. Like it's once a game he's down. I actually did a funny thing where like I typed in the I word in Jeff Zrebiec's like search history and I typed in Kyle Hamilton I word. And I found
Yeah,
multiple games where it's Kyle Hamilton is down, Kyle Hamilton is, and like all this year. But he's missed like what, one game I think maybe. It's
yeah,
crazy. Like he's comes back in and he's I think it's a good chance to play on Thursday, which we really need him against uh Burrow and Chase. We'll get into all that, but I'm right there with you. It is not sustainable. I think keeping him in the box, I'm all for, rushing him a couple of times, but just shooting him at these, 300-pound guys. He gets there, don't get me wrong, but man, I know he's feeling like he just got into a car accident after every game, the way he just is like a bowling ball, just throwing himself at these guys. I think with the
yeah,
defense too, I forget what I was going to say, but I know Tavius is coming back. I saw Taven Bryan. He hurt
hmm
himself yesterday. Not sure how
yeah.
long he's going to be out for.
Me neither. I don't know if Harbaugh necessarily said today. I have to go through
Okay.
Jeff Zrebiec's tweets,
Okay.
but he did say in terms of while we're talking about these I words right here. Of course, Ravens who did not practice today: Lamar Jackson with a toe, Taven Bryan with a knee. I'll have to see how severe that is. Travis Jones popped up on the report with an ankle, which is very, very concerning because he was dealing with an ankle last season. I don't know if it's the same ankle or if it's the other one, but either way, that is not good news. As we know, Travis Jones is one of the more important pieces that nobody really talks about. The national media is not going to talk about it, but without Namdi Madubuike, we've heavily relied on Travis Jones playing a lot of
Yeah.
snaps, right, to stop the run, get after the pass. I mean, a lot. We've asked a lot of him, so we're definitely going to need Travis Jones if we want any sort of chance this year. I will say that because we're already thin on the inside. But go ahead, Alex.
Taven Bryan short IR, so he'll be at a minimum 4 games. So
Okay.
I mean, Peebles, Lawson, but you brought up what I remembered. Nami Madubuike is no longer the leading sack, on the Ravens.
Oh,
So it's
finally.
now Mike Green. So now that stat, unfortunately, it's very sad because I saw the Browns put up 10 sacks yesterday. I would love
Yeah.
for us to have 10 sacks in the game. We barely had 10 sacks all year a couple weeks ago, but
Yeah.
I hope Nami Madubuike is all right, man. Like mentally, physically, everything. I think about Nabi. I miss you, man. I really do miss you.
For sure. I mean, it's just a sad story and kind of like how quiet things have been. It doesn't really give
Yeah,
you a good feeling, like it gives you the feeling of like, oh, it really might be something serious. Like it really might be a career ender, which you never want to hear. But of course, prayers up to you, Namdi, and hope you get well soon
yeah.
for sure. But all right, so what else do we have from here? Limited today in practice. Rashad Bateman returned. He's been dealing with an ankle. Do you want to talk a little bit about how this Ravens offense has looked to you without our guy Rashad Bateman? Do you think they've been missing him?
On those, on time throws, I think with very little time, yeah, maybe a 3-step route or a slant, something like that. They've definitely missed him. I think he would have made a couple of, not big plays, but chain movers for sure.
Chain movers, yeah,
We're missing that. I wish we could use him like we did, his rookie year, just move the chain, because we're not going to have those deep passes. I've kind of accepted that with this line. It's hard to get that protection, and Lamar really can't run away from these guys right now. So it's going to have to be
yeah,
on time and throws. And Tom Munkin, I'm looking at you. I'm really looking at you now. I got to see you draw something up, get in your bag. Because if you don't have the guys out there to do it, you got to make with what you can do. Play these guys to their strengths, and that's Bateman, on time guy. So I think we'll see it on Thursday. This was a target, him to be back for this game. For me, though, I'm kind of a key. If we don't put up 30 points this game, I'll be very disappointed. I know the offense hasn't been its best, but this defense we're playing without Trey Hendrickson, their defense is Swiss cheese. I need to see this offense make a statement. This is a great statement game. Thanksgiving. Like I said, I don't want to get too much in the preview, but I've got to see his offense. You've got to show me something this game.
yeah. No, I totally agree with you there. I mean, like you said, especially without Trey Hendrickson not being able to be in there and wreck the game. I mean, he's always been good against Stanley, but without him, I think that the Ravens have a legit shot to score 30 plus. But that's what I was talking about earlier, Alex, about the whole spoiled Ravens fan thing. Like, yeah, winning is fine, but us not putting up a good enough amount of points, that or us not having performances that translate into playoff success, it just feels like, what are we really here for? You know what I mean? Like we're just kind of barely scraping by the Jets, really? I mean, 23-10, cool, but I don't know, man. That spread should have definitely been covered. Ravens should have definitely had 30. But again, that's the spoiled Ravens fan in me. Spoiled Ravens fan. I'm admitting it. I'm admitting it. At least I'm doing that,
Is it
right?
spoiled? Is it you having high expectations for a team when we went in with Super Bowl expectations? I think it's high
Mm,
expectation. I think you know, you have every right to have them. I know I have them. I think what we saw last year with our holes, we were blowing out the Giants at home. Lamar 5 touchdowns sitting in the fourth quarter. Here comes Josh Johnson, and uh, I can see both sides, but I think just kind of the way we went in the year with very little holes, we had these expectations. We weren't supposed to be 6-5, but here we are,
yeah.
and it could be worse. But I think I'm just going to take this season. I saw somebody mention this, and I don't know how much I agree with it, but the Ravens in a regular season will blow out teams, but in the playoffs, we kind of forgot how to play. What if this year's the opposite? So that's a delusion to
Yeah.
me. Maybe this is the year in
Yeah.
the playoffs they put it all together. So allow me to be delusional real quick.
I thought about that, I mean, like because the Ravens tend to front run in the regular season, right? They get out ahead, they have a comfortable lead in the North, and they normally comfortably win the division, and sometimes they even contend for the first seed. But this year it's just kind of totally different, and ever since week 5, the Ravens have been fighting for their literal lives, on the season, and so it does feel a lot different. It feels like it'll kind of mentally prepare the Ravens, when they do make the playoffs, or if they do make the playoffs. It's, still knock on wood for that, but I I think you might be right. This could do some good for the mental of this team if they do make the playoffs, because they won't be going in under the same circumstances that they normally do. So, no, I get that. I totally get that. Yeah, go
JD13
ahead.
says, I feel like we've peaked too early in the seasons. That's a great point. I think, what was it? I think last year, we definitely peaked at the end. We peaked at the right time. I think the Bills game obviously sucks. I think we did it. I think enough. I say to at least go into overtime or win that. But years prior, yeah, we definitely have peaked. I think 2021 before the I word we peaked. 22, I can agree with that there. So learning how to grind out a win, I think that's the difference right now between us and the top 3 seeds, because I can see 2 upsets in the AFC for sure. 1 through 3, if it's Colts, Broncos, Pats, I see 2 out of those 3 teams being upset by lower seeds, just because experience and them not getting in like real tough dogfights. I saw the Colts get in a dogfight, go to OT, have the ball first, and lose against the Chiefs, who
Yeah.
they started the game off with a pick right in the red zone, right there, man. Like that's a great start in Kansas City. Couldn't get it done. Could the Ravens do it? Not too sure, but we won't be playing the Chiefs, first round if we are to make it, because I don't think they win the division. So stuff like that. It'll be a weird playoffs. Just just be prepared for them upsets. I can definitely see a lot of them up top.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, honestly, that just gets me excited as hell
Yeah,
for Super Wild Card Weekend. That's gonna be
unpredictable.
a crazy one. You're gonna have you're gonna have the Bills and the Chiefs going in and playing on the road. You know what I mean? In the first round, that's gonna be wild. That's gonna be absolutely wild. But yeah, man. I mean, we got to take it one week at a time. As I look at it right now, the Ravens are still 0-0. You got to keep going 1-0 every week. If you can win the next 3, great, right? And that substantially raises your chances at making the playoffs. So hopefully that they can go ahead and do that. But got to take it one game at a time. And speaking of one game at a time, I think I saw something in here. It was from Kimberly, and she's kind of talking about Thursday's game. She's like, just curious, could we see Tyler Huntley, in place of Lamar Jackson on Thursday? I mean, is it possible at all, Alex? I mean, again, they got a game in 3 days, man, and Lamar is not practicing today. He popped up with a new I word, right? It's just, is it at all possible, in your estimation, that they hold Lamar on Thanksgiving?
No, you'll see Huntley in the fourth quarter when the game's over. But I think if he was to play in any game, I think Huntley would have played yesterday. And I know that sounds crazy, but and as we, I know you see the Bears as frauds, and I hear it there, but if Huntley could beat the Bears, I think he could beat the Jets. You know what I mean? I think he could do it at home,
Yeah.
but Lamar will be out there, play one. Harbaugh said he's good. Take up the grain of salt. He's not good. He's probably what 75% right now, but that's the NFL season, man.
Yeah, he's not good. And honestly, there's a lot of I think teams are starting to pick up on that and realize that because down low in the red zone, where Lamar Jackson would normally be a huge rushing threat. Like for example, Alex, like one of those plays. Remember, I was telling you about the when the Ravens were inside the 10, and Derrick Henry he gets stuffed at the line. I on that play because they ran it from under center on that play. On that play, the edge guy completely crashed down on Derrick Henry. He had no doubt in his mind that Derrick Henry was keeping that football and Lamar Jackson wouldn't keep it and boot it out to the other side because there was nobody. It was just green grass, right? But the fact that they're not even like worried about that right now. And then the very next play, the same edge guy was actually the strong safety, but they had him playing the edge. The same edge guy tackles Derrick Henry from the weak side for the second straight play because on the read option, nobody was worried about Lamar keeping it. So it's just like the threat of Lamar Jackson running is not even really established right now, and it's kind of exposing some of the deficiencies in this offensive line in real time, which is one of the scarier things that I noticed when I watch the film on this team. So again, lots of things to kind of work on. Again, that was another reason why I said Pat Ricard should be in. If you're going to run Derrick Henry, within the 10-yard line, especially. But man, lots to work on, lots to get better at. Anything else that you saw from around the league, Alex? Before we wrap up this one,
Around the league,
yeah.
the Rams are my Super Bowl favorite. Matt Stafford
Oh
MVP.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
man. They look like they're ready to go back again.
and much like the Ravens in 2023, the Rams are getting guys who were hashtag not good with other teams and are making them good. Emmanuel Forbes was a bust. There's no two ways about it. This guy was getting picked on. He was too small, but he goes to the Rams and is a completely different player. Franchises like that, the Ravens did it in 23. Darby had down years. Millette had down years. Clowney, Van Noy, they were all on the street, but they made do with them and they made them good. And that I know we lost, man, but the fact that we did that with Cooper Rush and the multiple turnovers, down losing by 14 with a bunch of backups compared to how we lost the Texans, kind of gives me hope for the defense. But yeah, Rams right now, if I'm putting money on a team, it's them. To win it all. They look fantastic. Devontae Adams, by the way, this guy he looks better than he did with the freaking Packers at points. Wow.
Yeah, I mean him, and then of course when you have Puka Nakua, who's gonna just like kind of
Yeah.
take the gravity out of the room. It's just it's the perfect kind of storm right now. Kyron Williams didn't really do much yesterday, but I guess didn't really need him all that much, But because they just put it on the Bucks early on. Then of course Baker got hurt in that one. I think he's gonna probably be out for maybe a week or so. I
Yeah.
don't think it's supposed to be that serious, but no, that game was interesting. But then another game in the NFC, Eagles Cowboys yesterday was one that kind of shocked me.
Yeah.
The Eagles jump out to a early lead, and then they just don't score in the second half. They don't score in the second half, and George Pickens looks like everything that we had imagined him that he was going to develop into when he was drafted. Right? I mean, what do you think about the Cowboys right now, and George Pickens specifically? He's a beast.
That's why I mentioned Ojabo, unfortunately.
Yeah, because
I
that's where I thought you
tweeted
were gonna go with it.
listen, I didn't want to, that's always a debate right there, but I didn't want to just bring it up there. But I said on Twitter, I said, I'm happy I don't have to play George Pickens twice a year anymore.
Yeah.
Because this guy, even if it's like close to being out of bounds, he's going to like go for a crazy catch one handed. He's not going to give up on the play, which I don't think he's credited enough for it. He's get called, like a locker room cancer. I know he's had that title, but this guy, like, if the ball is in his vicinity, he's going to try to make a catch. And this guy is a free agent after this year. It'll be really interesting to see where he goes. Receivers like that are not allowed to see the free agent market for a reason. If I'm the Cowboys, and I know they have a lot of money spent, you got to try to sign him. But wow, I saw a stat. I think he generally has as many receiving yards as the whole Steeler receiving corps combined, or if not, very little.
Jeez, man.
Right now, top 5 receiver. Him, JSN, by the way. Guy just scores touchdowns every week like it's nothing.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
he's a beast. JSN is probably the best receiver in the league right now.
Yeah,
I mean, it's he's a dog. I mean, and Sam Darnold's getting them the ball and constant deep shots. Is I don't understand how they're continuing, and that's the thing. They don't even throw that much, right? But JSN is just going completely ham when it comes to receiving yards, touchdowns. I mean, everything, man. So shout out to them. See JD in the chat here. Shout out to JD. Says we should have drafted or traded for Quinnen. Quinnen had a career high 8 pressures yesterday. Another reason why the Cowboys were able to come back and beat those Eagles. Yeah, man. I mean, big time players. That's what you get. I mean, I love what we got in Dre Jones, though. I mean, I know it's
yeah.
kind of like apples to oranges, but it works for us. It works for us. Dre Jones, Mike Green. I mean, the defensive line is making strides. At least I feel like they're starting to put things together. But no, man, Quinnen Williams would have been an absolute force. We would have been all aboard the Super Bowl hype train, to be
Yeah.
honest with you, if the Ravens would have gotten Quinnen Williams, man. What could have been? What could
What
have
was
been?
it? 2 firsts they gave up for him? I want to say, or a first and a second.
It was 2 firsts, but one of the first it's not in the same I think one of them was
Okay.
in
Okay.
2026 and one of them is in 2027, I want to say.
Yeah. I mean, definitely want to
Yeah.
get him a first for him. You don't come across talents like that often, especially defensive tackle wise.
Yeah.
We've talked about the tiers. It's, S tier and like C tier afterwards. But that's a great trade for the Cowboys. I think they've, when you trade Micah Parsons, you have that capital to spend. So they're, alive in the NFC race. I think they're a good team. But now I'm looking at Dak, I don't think if you play like the Rams or the Seahawks per se, I don't think you get back in that game. The Eagles right now are in disarray. I'm not too
Mm,
sure what's going on there. I thought, I think it was looking good. AJ Brown
got a
touchdown,
touchdown.
Devonta Smith, and then it just kind of went downhill. But
Yeah,
I'll tell you
it
what, I
was
do like
weird.
seeing Nick Sirianni upset. I love it. It does make me happy.
Why?
Just seeing that the cocky guy just kind of eat crow, blowing a lead. Like they pulled the Ravens, 21-0. They pulled in us. It's good to see.
Yeah, yeah. Let me see what other games kind of piqued my interest yesterday. Shador
Yes,
Sanders got his
yes,
first start and his first
yes.
W in that
Starter
start.
now.
And yeah, he's a starter. He's been named the starter. Dylan Gabriel cleared concussion protocol, but Stefanski, he announced today that Shador will start their next game. But in this game, he went 11 for 20, had 209 yards passing, had 1 touchdown, 1 interception, 87.3 quarterback rating. What did you think of Shador's first start?
First start. I think in his first year, they will beat teams of that caliber. Uh, don't make mistakes. Be able to move the ball down the field and let your defense give you the ball back. I think, in his first year, that's the way to go. I think that he'll lose to the better teams. I think us, we had a great formula for him coming in, but they'll beat. I think the teams they should beat. I think the Browns have a fantastic defense. It's just that offense. They've always been missing a quarterback. I think they could do with another receiver, but just let him do his thing and just limit mistakes, and they'll be good. I'm not saying they'll make the playoffs, but definitely they'll be giving you a tough challenge every game, mainly because of the defense. But going to him, I was happy for him. It was good to see him, just being happy out there. It was really good to see.
It was, and when it comes to Shador's performance, I'll say this: it was the stats that he had were padded by a lot of yak. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
I think it was Dylan Sampson, I want to say,
Yeah,
who got the 66-yard touchdown off of the screen pass from Shador. Uh, and then of course he also had the interception. So it's not like he went out there and just completely played lights out, but you did like the composure and things that you saw from him, and I think there's some strides to be made there, right? He looked the part for the most part, you
hmm
know. But what I will say is this: why, when the Browns get in the red zone, why are they taking Shador off the field
yeah,
and direct snapping it to Quinshawn Judkins instead of? I mean, it worked a
yeah,
couple times, but why not let Shador throw it in the end zone? I mean, I don't know.
yeah,
I got to go back
yeah,
and watch that game in its entirety, but from what I
yeah,
saw, it seemed like that was happening.
yeah. And I actually just watched that game in full. I turned off red zone. I just wanted to watch the Browns game, and I was confused by that. But like, it was working. Maybe they
Mhm.
didn't like something in practice. Maybe his throws didn't like. I don't know. But like when he threw it, it was either going to his receiver or it was nobody. his overthrows. Unfortunately, the interception was bad, but it's a rookie. I'm not going to get mad at that for a rookie throwing a pick. It could have been a lot worse. He could have thrown 4 picks, but he was composed, cool. I don't think he held on the ball too long. Going against a Max Crosby, I think he did pretty good. So, I mean,
Yeah.
there's obviously a lot of people going to hate on him for who he is, but you won. You won, man. So keep
Yeah.
it. I mean, well,
Got a
don't keep
W.
it up. You're a Brown, unfortunately, but
That's the
just keep doing your
unfortunate
thing.
part because I want to root for him, you know?
Yeah, I want to, but it's just like, you're a Brown, but they're not. We don't play them the rest of the year, so I can root for him. I
Yeah.
can.
Let me see. Chef Spicy Rice brings up who? JJ McCarthy. Speaking of JJ McCarthy, who's actually currently dealing with a concussion. Hopefully he gets better soon. But he went 12 for 19 yesterday, only had 87 yards passing, no touchdowns, 2 picks, 63% completion percentage, and a 34.2 quarterback rating. JJ McCarthy, man, he's not looking good in Minnesota, and I don't know how long the Vikings are gonna rally around him like they said that they would in that whole 9 video. You remember that video where he's like looking like a cringe college kid? I mean, what are they 0-4 since that video?
Yeah, that 9 gimmick was fun while it lasted. He played us,
Yeah,
and it was bad.
all downhill, all downhill. Adversely, Jordan Love in that one went 14 for 21, 139 yards, no touchdowns, no picks, 85 rating.
Is it weird that I'm not sold on the Packers?
I'm not either. They're one of
Okay,
those teams who don't really know what they want to be yet.
correct.
That's what it feels like.
Now, some other I see Chike says Coach Chiefs, and while we're on that topic, NFC and Kwame says Shador should have been a Saint. Speaking of the Saints,
Talk
they're
about it.
trying out Baltimore Ravens. Football wise, legend,
Yeah.
greatest kicker ever for us, Justin Tucker, trying him
Yep.
out.
Heard about
I
that.
mean, how do you feel about that? I know Kellen Moore was asked some questions. Mentioned he had dealt with some things. Definitely more than just some things, Kellen.
For
But this is
sure.
his first tryout.
Yeah. I mean, he served his 10-week suspension. And I kind of figured that some struggling team who needs kicking help, which is a couple of teams in this league. Uh, by the way, I want to talk about Jordan Stout in a second too. Because we didn't touch on him. We didn't touch on him. And I do
Woo!
not want to let that go untalked about. But no, I mean somebody was going to need some kicking services, and again, like you said, he's the goat football wise, right? So I figured he would find work somewhere. I do expect him to probably be signed with the Saints. I think they also brought in Cade York to
Mhm.
work out for them as well. I think I read that. So more power to him. I'm totally happy with Tyler Loop. I mean, it's Justin Tucker is definitely in the rearview mirror for me as a Ravens fan, like way back in the rearview mirror. Because Tyler Loop is doing his thing, but like I mentioned, we got to bring it back around to the Ravens because we didn't mention Jordan Stout. We didn't mention Jordan Stout and how
Wow.
good he's been this season, man. I mean, the punts that he was getting off yesterday. I mean, that 174-yard punt where it literally looked like the punt returner was trying to catch a Hail Mary over the shoulder, right? It
Yep.
was crazy. I love seeing that. Then the 67-yard punt at the end of the game, which was kind of like the coffin corner punt. He gets it like in the 5. It rolls out of bounds. Man, beautiful stuff from Jordan Stout, right?
I mean, he definitely learned something from Sam Cook. It feels like the way he was punting the ball, maybe had that weird spin on it where you can't really tell where it's going, how you're going to catch it. I think that's what he did for one of them. So it sucks that in the contract year he's doing this, but I feel like we take care of our special teamers. I think he'll be a Raven for many more years. But good on him. I mean, that was arguably changed the game with the way he was pinning them deep.
Yeah.
Special teams, man, it definitely it means something. So good on him, man. I'm really happy for him.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. Let me see. Any other games we didn't touch on? Oh,
Colts
the Colts
Chiefs.
Chiefs. Colts Chiefs. That's
Yes.
right. Colts Chiefs. What do you think about that one?
Watch the ending of it and then the overtime. Rasheed Rice is a damn good receiver. It's hard to put
Mm-hmm.
him one on one. He'll get open.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Obviously, when it's in the clutch, I'm gonna like Mahomes against most quarterbacks. But Daniel Jones obviously still has the clutch gene. I got to see it more. I think that's what's gonna hold them back from making it far. But that's a huge win. That's their first win against a winning team, the Chiefs. That is. A lot of people picked against them. I know me and you picked the Chiefs, but
Yeah.
the reasons why we picked them, I think, is the reasons why they won. When the going gets tough, who do I trust more? And it's a team in red.
Yeah, I mean, this was kind of like one of those games you kind of had to pick the Chiefs to win. Their backs were up against the wall. If they lost this game, their playoff hopes would have been on literal life support. They don't have the same sort of path to win the division that the Ravens do, so they got to win every game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they gotta keep winning. So expected them to get that one. Hopefully, we see the Chiefs in the playoffs. I want to see the Chiefs. I mean, I'm
Ooh.
not one of these guys who is looking for an out this year because
Yeah.
okay, maybe the Chiefs and the Bills, maybe they'll get knocked off. No, I wanna battle the demons. I still
Yep.
want to battle the demons, you know. So because and again, I think that with the narrative being flipped this year, like we talked about earlier, Alex, like maybe the mentality will be different going into a Chiefs game or going into a Bills game. It's like, hey, look, we were getting our asses kicked all year until we turned things around, right? And we made something of our season, and we have that mental fortitude to win these type of games in these type of spots. So that is that. Let me see. I had something
Bills
else. I had one more
lost
thing.
to the Texans.
Bills lost. Yeah,
You
yeah.
know,
I called that one. Yeah,
it was 8 sacks, two
yeah,
interceptions.
yeah.
Oh, but he was the MVP favorite a couple weeks ago. Oh,
Now, just opens it up for Matthew Stafford to win it. I mean, 28 touchdowns, no interceptions in the last what 10 games or something like that. But
yeah.
yeah, Bills Texans was a fun one. I definitely I, I just knew that the Bills were due for an L, and in Houston, that defense, they were not going to go quietly, and they certainly didn't. So, good for the Texans though. Good for the Texans. They get a win with Davis Mills, not even C.J. Stroud. It's crazy.
And then Steelers losing to the Bears. When I saw Mason Rudolph was starting, kind of expected it. They had a little bit of that devil magic, T.J. Watt, but outside of that, Caleb and them boys kind of took care of it. Had a 10-point lead. Got a little nervous at the end, but good on them. Gave us the outright, well, not outright, but we're tied for the AFC North lead. So thank you very much to the Bears for doing us a solid. Uh, I think that was mainly it for the roundup. I want to say,
You mentioned Rashee Rice, right?
yeah.
And if I'm not mistaken, Rashee Rice was drafted in 2023, right?
Mm-hmm.
Out of those receivers drafted in 2023, could you give me your top 5 receivers from that class? Because I've been thinking about this a lot lately.
Ooh, JSN for sure
Because
is number one. Oh, I'm putting JSN
yeah,
one.
okay. JSN one. Would you go? I mean, Puka Nakua's in this draft.
Oh fuck. Okay, this
Yeah.
year or the whole careers.
Well, let's just go. Let's go their whole careers.
Okay, Puka definitely one.
Okay.
JSN,
Mm-hmm.
Rice,
Yep.
Flowers.
Okay.
Then I'm putting him over Addison, QJ. Yeah,
Mims and yeah.
yeah, 100%.
Tank Dell kind of by default.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, okay. I was just checking,
Yeah.
to see if you thought that Zabe was gonna land in that top 5 of that draft class.
Oh yeah,
He was the second drafted receiver. Or was he the second or third? I think it was a third drafted receiver
he was third.
in that
JSN and
class. Yeah.
QJ were
Yeah.
before him.
Right. 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 But yeah, I mean, I agree with you there. I totally agree. Um, I it still does kind of disappoint me that, and I want to talk about Zay Flowers too because I thought he had a good showing yesterday. That
they,
play
they
where he
say
like
here
pops up
comes the
off the
flower
ground.
slander.
Yeah,
Oh,
you
we're gonna
guys
get you a
know.
flower jersey for Christmas. Is what we should do.
Oh my gosh, you guys know how I feel about Zay Flowers. I mean, I wanted to see how y'all felt about the whole 2023 draft class because we're getting ready to have to pay Zay Flowers, and I feel like we're in a very interesting spot with him because I feel like he is probably Lamar's favorite target. However, does he produce enough at a high enough clip to justify paying him what he'll ask for? And this experiment that I've been kind of like having with him throughout this year is just it's been kind of waking me up to like how close it's gonna be in those negotiation rooms, man. And I could see a world where the Ravens do move on from Zay Flowers. I'm just saying I don't want them to necessarily. I think he's a really good wide receiver, but and he has the potential to be great. Like that play yesterday, Alex, where he popped up off the ground in like a split second.
Yeah.
It's like that type of athleticism and X factor ability that I wish he would translate into scoring touchdowns some way somehow. You know what I mean? That's just all I need to see. I'm not really trying to slander him, guys. I just need to see some touchdowns.
I think that's a fair assessment. I really do think it is. I think if you have a guy like that, you want to have more than one touchdown this year, but we'll find out. Hopefully, he turns it out. I think he gets the end zone against the Bengals. I really do.
Yeah.
I think there might be a coverage breakdown in the secondary because they're just trotting out some Jags in that secondary for the Bengals, and I think this could be a week where we see a deep bomb and he catches it. Just give Lamar just a little bit of time. Just I'm begging you, give him just like 4 seconds. Just give him that much, and I promise you, you will have a deep play.
Yeah.
Please.
I need to see something, man. Because again, like I said, this offense feels very claustrophobic, right? It feels like the ceiling is very low on it. And to kind of negate that feeling, I need to see a big play over the top for a touchdown game breaker. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and leave it there for this episode of the Purple Rain Podcast, episode 354. Appreciate each and every one of y'all for coming through, rocking out with us as you normally do. We're an hour and 5 in. But listen, we still got this film study video coming very, very soon. It's only going to be available for members, though, at least
Ooh.
originally. So, if you do want to check that out before everybody else gets to, make sure you go ahead and become a member of the Purple Rain Podcast YouTube channel because that's going to be a good one, man. I saw a lot of good stuff in this Jets game. And a lot of it I kind of alluded to in this episode. But again, also, make sure you like this video on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel, too. If you are new, we'd appreciate that. But with that being said, I'm going to let my guy Alex take us out. And, oh, yeah, preview show is on Wednesday, JD. Preview show is on Wednesday.
Yes. Yeah, so get ready for that. Previewing the Bengals, obviously, no Higgins, no Hendrickson. I knew yesterday when Higgins went down, he was knocked out cold on the field, I think. Like, you had a
I heard
concussion.
he was, like, laid out.
Yeah, they had to cart him off the concussion. It was bad. Like his back of the head just like slammed. I think right there on the yeah, he's not playing. So well obviously we're getting that on Wednesday. But yes, preview show on Wednesday, Ravens Bengals. But yeah, like Sun said, thank you for coming through. Episode 354 Purple Rain Podcast. We love you. We appreciate you. And as always, stay positive and test freaking negative.
Yes, yes, yes. And never, ever, ever forget, even on the rainiest of days, to call God. This is episode 354 of PRP. We're going to catch you guys in the next one. Peace.